we're talking about retirement, so make sure that we keep going, enduring till the end. Okay, so we're going to talk about advanced planning globally. Go ahead.
So realize that advanced planning is really how do you make sure that your assets are passed on to the people that you want. That's planning for your children and family after you die. Realize it varies internationally. Some places allow broad discretion with wills, often using trusts. So for example, in the US, we use trusts a lot. A civil law nation like France and Germany, they have strict inheritance rules. Other countries do it differently. So realize the way you pass assets from individuals from parents to children differs country to country. So we can't talk about all of those. So what we can do is just, how is it done in the US? So this is our section here, your advanced plan. What's your vision for your advanced plan? Which is how will you take care of your family once you die? So what are your goals? We'll actually create this holographic will. Holographic just means in your own hand. We'll do this in class. So generally what would happen with a holographic will, the assumption is you can give that to a handwriting expert. They'll look at the signature, they'll look at how things are written, and they'll say, yeah, this was really done by Carolina, or this was done by Zach, or things like that. And so we've got some plans and strategies. This does not have to be a long section. This can be a really short section. So someone tell me what a will is. It's what you want to happen when you die. So it states how your assets should be distributed upon your death. So what happens if you don't have a will? You die. If you don't have a will, you're said to have died intestate, means without a will. And if you don't have a will, then the state will determine where your assets go, according to state rules. So to avoid, why do you need a will? Because you don't want the state determining where your assets go. Distribution of your assets. The hardest one is the custody of your children. Care for those under your responsibility. So to avoid a court-appointed administrator, you really need to have a will. Now you can also do a trust too in the US. A trust is similar to a will, except a trust is basically a separate entity, and it pays taxes as a separate entity. And the nice thing about a will is a document open to everyone. Trusts are not open. So holographic will, it's written in your own hands.
In your own handwriting.
In handwriting. This is for people who don't have much assets. This is a temporary thing until you get your degree.
Like Christine, it probably wouldn't be good for you.
No.
But you have to write it anyway.
You probably have your own will already.
Because you're taking this class.
So,
okay.
But the most important thing, if you have children, it lets people know who you would like to select the guardians of your children.
Right. Okay. So this is the global retirement ages in other countries. It's not all the countries, but it's a lot of countries. So in Cambodia, they retire at 55. China and Ghana, 60. Hong Kong, 65. In Guatemala, they don't have a retirement age. Singapore, 62. Taiwan, 65. United States, 67.
And it's probably going to move up too.
Yeah, because people are living longer. Okay, so what are the major sources of retirement income for the retirement plans in the U.S.? We've been talking about those. So it's the traditional 401k, the traditional IRA, which are both tax and savings deferred. Then the Roth 401k and the Roth IRA that are taxes are paid first, and then their earnings, you don't have to pay taxes on the earnings. You pay taxes before you put it in, and then you don't pay taxes on the earnings. So they're tax eliminated. Pension plans, these are kind of going away, but it's where your company that you work for might have a pension plan, and so you would donate, or they would have so much money of your last 5 years of income.
So for example, BYU had a pension plan, and it was 1.5% times 20 years times how long you stayed there. And if you stayed there 20 years, then you would get that amount every year until you passed away. The problem is these plans are very hard to administer and they're very time consuming and expensive.
So they're kind of going away.
Yeah, sadly.
But it's been really nice. Yeah, and then also Social Security includes cost of living adjustments, and this is in the U.S. So if you take your Social Security at age 62, for instance, you would get $19.52 a month. At age 66, you get a little bit more, $26.38 a month. And then if you wait till you're 66,
yeah. So if you wait,
66 is $26.38, and if you wait till you're 70, you get $35.13.
So it's a little bit detailed in putting that. When you go through the skills development problems, especially U.S. people, U.S. students, so we really recommend you do the skills development problems because that will take you through that in a little bit more detail. So remember we talked about different plans. Again, these are investment plans, investment vehicles. Generally, all of them use the same investments. As we said before, these retirement vehicles are just shopping carts. A Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, traditional IRA, rollover IRA, SEP IRA. All of these are, they can have the same investment, but the taxes are different. Again, remember we talked about tax eliminated Roth vehicles. You pay no taxes now, but when you pay taxes now, but when you take it out at retirement, you don't have to pay taxes on it. That's our favorite now. You've got traditional, pay no taxes now, but when you take it out of retirement, you have to pay taxes on it. And then regular investments, you pay taxes every year. So be aware of those. Remember we talked about Roth 401k. Again, the different names here, 403B is nonprofit tax exempt organizations, 457 for state municipalities. But the point is there's different plans for different people. So be aware of what's available for you and then use those available plans. So let's go through these things. A traditional IRA, again, you create it. Contributions are tax deductible. If I earn $50,000 and I put $5,000 into a traditional IRA, I don't pay taxes on $50,000. I only pay taxes on $45,000, which is the 50 minus 5. The downside is when I take it out at retirement, I have to pay taxes on it. There's an interesting thing too. It's called required minimum distributions. So the joke is that the government giveth and the government taketh away. So you get the benefit, you don't pay taxes on it. Now, but when you take it out at retirement, the taxes are different.
But the required distributions are, as you get to be 72 and a half, then you have money saved away, and you have to take at least this minimum amount every month.
Right.
As a distribution.
Every year.
Or else you get dinged.
Right.
Oh,
so
every year.
There's some problems in the skills development problem that takes you through RMDs. And then Roth IRAs, again, there's a catch-up. If you're over age 50, you can put $1,000 more. And again, the thing that we like about these, earnings grow tax exempt. You never pay taxes on them.
And then the reason there's a catch-up is if you didn't start saving when you were younger, they're allowing people to catch up because they're not planning for Social Security to be enough for everybody to survive on. So they give them a catch-up if they're older and they're just barely starting to invest so that they can invest more that are tax efficient.
And the nice thing about the Roth, if you've held it 5 years, you can take principal out without penalty. So if you need it for the purchase of first home purchase or higher education expenses for you or your children, that works well too. But again, these things, you can't take earnings out until after age 59 and a half. And with Roth vehicles, there's no required minimum distributions. That's what we really like. So here is 401k. Again, notice the amounts are significantly higher, $23,500. If you're age 50 plus, you have an additional $7,500 catch up. If you're 60 to 63, you've got an additional $11,250 catch up.
So they're encouraging people to put money into 401k for their retirement because Social Security is not going to be enough.
Yeah, so They estimate that Social Security should cover about 40% of your retirement income. And the sad part is a lot of people, it's 100% of their retirement income because they haven't planned. Mm-hmm. And then Roth 401k, it's kind of the same. The question's often asked, what happens if I have a company match? And I've got a Roth 401k. Well, in cases like that, what the company will match you, but not in a Roth 401k, but in a traditional 401k. So just realize that's a difference. Again, we love the Roth vehicles. Okay, so those are more your defined, we call them defined contribution plans. There are things called what we call defined benefit plans. Sadly, these are going away. Two main types: a defined benefit pension plan. Again, if you can find one of those, they're really good. At least the one I was at BYU it was like 1.5% times the number of years times your top 5 highest earning years. And then now I think they kicked it back to like 0.75%. Because they're trying to encourage you to put more into your 401ks and things like that. So, and then the final thing was, what about Social Security?
Did you hand that out?
No, I haven't handed that one
Okay,
yet.
I'll hand it out.
So, we've all heard a lot of things about what's going to happen to Social Security. Realize Social Security was set up for a different situation. When it was set up
a different time.
Different time. It was when it was set up in the early 30s. There were 17 workers for every person who received benefits. Now because populations are declining, now we only have 4 workers for every person receiving benefits. Back then in the 30s, the average person didn't live beyond age 65. Now we have people living into their 80s and 90s and 100s. So it's a different situation. Do we plan for it? I'd probably say no, but my guess is it'll be available for you. It may not be as generous as it is right now.
And right now, I don't even think it's that generous.
So, but again, we encourage you to go through the skills development problems in there because it'll show you a lot more about how Social Security works. So benefits are based on 3 areas: top 35 years of earnings, inflation adjusted, your full retirement age, and the age you decide to take benefits. So it's not huge. Average monthly benefit in 2022 is about $1,600 or $20,000 per year. So realize if you've got a house payment and car payments, it's going to make it really hard. So ideally, you do want to go into retirement. You want to go into retirement without debt.
If we give up our families and spiritual growth for the glitter of the world, we have made a fool's bargain.
Thanks, everyone.